What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be back on the Civic. So we just got done turboing the Civic and it is I'm super excited to drive it. However, there is a few things that we really need to take care of before we can just go off and drive this thing. The main thing being the loud rattling type noise that's coming from what I think is the transmission. So what it sounds like is a bad throwout bearing, but I've changed the throwout bearing, put a new one on, and the noise did not go away. So with a little bit of research, I am finding out that it's most likely the bearing that is on the input shaft of the transmission. So we're going to add hopefully by the end of this, we're gonna add transmission work to our YouTube mechanic resume here. So yeah, that's the main thing. I'm also probably going to take a look at the axles while we're in there, because I think the axle boots are torn, but that'll probably be a different video. So anyway, let's go ahead, start taking the transmission out. We'll remove some of the intercooler piping and take the wheels off. We're going to drain the transmission because obviously we have to split the transmission open while we're in there. I don't have the bearings in yet, but I figured while we're waiting on them, I could go ahead and at least remove the transmission. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, let me give you guys an update here. So we got the wheels off, we got the axles out. You don't have to take the axles completely out, but like I said, I think I'm going to be rebuilding them. Well, I have to rebuild them now because this one popped out and there's grease coming out, there's tears in the boots. So I'm either going to rebuild these or just buy all new ones. We'll see. Those are looking kind of beat up, but we'll see. Now we're going to start undoing some stuff from the bottom of the car, as much as we can do from the bottom of the car. So what I'm going to do now is undo the shift linkage. It's all 12mm stuff, and then there's a pin you got to drive out. Everybody says it's impossible to get out, but I've had them out a ton of times. I guess if you have the right size punch, which I don't remember what size it is, I'll tell you once I do it, but if you have the right size punch, it's easy. Anyway, undo the shift linkage, and then I'm just going to start going around the bell housing and undoing all the bolts from the bottom. Then we'll come up here to the top, undo those, undo the motor mount, get the transmission out. Okay guys, so we got the transmission out. First thing you want to do is make sure it's in neutral with this pin here. There'll be a little slack back and forth, and that's how you'll know it's in neutral. If it's out in gear, it won't move back and forth, or if it's too far in, it won't move back and forth. So get it right there, and it's in neutral. I just pulled that boot off too. It's about 1 inch and 3/8 out, if that helps. So then what we're going to want to do is take this little plug out here. I had to use a ratchet and pull on it. It's an 8mm Allen. It's going to be tight because there's sealant on this stuff. And to my understanding, you're going to want this in neutral when you put that back in as well, so make sure you check on that. So here on top, you've got 3 12mm bolts here, here, and here. They're spring loaded, and there's a ball in there, your detent. So we're going to need to get that out. A magnet works best, but I don't know if I have a magnet small enough for that, so let's see what we can do. All right, I guess this here is your reverse switch. There is a cap right there. That's just 3/8 square. So all you're gonna do is, if you don't have a square socket like me, just use your 3/8 ratchet and pop that loose. All right, so actually before we release this snap ring, we have to take all these bolts out and relieve or put pressure on it, and then that snap ring will stay open. So these should all be 12 millimeter. All right, now there should be some pry points around here. You just really want to make sure you don't mess up your sealing surface in there. So once you have it pulled up like that, you can put some like wedges or screwdrivers down in there. I actually have some little plastic wedges that I'm going to put in there for now, but screwdriver's fine too. All right, now we should be able to go in through the top and undo this snap ring. There, so now it stays open now that there's pressure on it. Okay. A little more aggressive than I wanted, but there you go. Here's one bearing we're going to be replacing right there. Okay guys, for you it's been a couple seconds, for me it's been about a week. So these bearings finally just came in. It took forever. It was driving me nuts, but you guys don't care about that. We finally got them in. So let's go ahead and get back on it. I got the main seal. Here's the part number for that. Here is the top bearing, the one that you see right when you pull the case apart. Then here is the bottom bearing. So now we have to take this whole gear cluster out. It should all come out as one piece. First thing we're going to do is remove these two bolts here, probably 10 millimeter. Yep, 10 millimeter. So we're going to remove those, and then that's our like reverse gear engagement, I think. Yeah, that's our reverse gear. So that's the engagement. So two 10 millimeters come out, and then this whole thing comes out. But it's, from what I've seen, this whole thing does not come out very easily. You've got to really wiggle and jerk stuff around because this all has to go in and come out simultaneously. So you guys will probably see me fight with this for a little bit. Alright, let me show you guys this over here. We're going to go ahead and take our reverse gear out. It just sits in there. Make sure you remember that it goes in like that. I'm just going to set it here just like that, and then we have to take this 12 millimeter bolt out that holds your shifting mechanism. Once you take that out, this whole thing will come out, not very easily, but it will. So this bearing is super rough. Some people's are blown apart in here. Mine's not blown apart, but it is very rough. So we gotta go and get that out. Before we get that out, there's also a magnet over here to collect metal shavings and whatnot. I'm gonna go ahead and get that magnet out too and try to clean up everything. Everything looks great. There's no material, like loose material, that I can see. as there's some right here on this bearing. It's not very good, but oh well. I think it's all good. I'm just gonna put this down in here to soak up some of this transmission fluid. Take the magnet out and then get this bearing out. So under that bearing, there's a seal. That's this seal. You're gonna wanna take that out without screwing up any of your case. So these worked perfect. Snap ring pliers. All right, I think we're all the way in. Wanted to show you guys this. So, see, it won't even stay spinning. Obviously, that's bad. Let's get our new one. This one doesn't have like a side. See how this one has a side? The new one does not. They're the same on both sides. So, I'm just gonna pick a side. I'm going to use the old bearing here to tap this in. All right, so time for reassembly. Oh, one more thing I forgot to show you guys. My shaft where the bearing went, it's actually in really good condition. You see some lines on there, but you can see they're pretty much wiping off, and there's no scoring. Like, you cannot feel any physical scratches in there. So this is honestly probably going to be the hardest part. You just have to get these two shafts and all three of these things to go in their holes. All right, we got her all back together, guys. These two bolts here, I'm pretty sure are 100 inch-pounds. I was a complete idiot and did not use a torque wrench. Do not do that, use a torque wrench. I may have over tightened the bolt that's on this shaft right here. So I could have screwed myself. So learn from me and use a torque wrench. Now, I'm just gonna clean this surface off real good. And we're gonna be using, just because this is what I have, red RTV gasket maker. It does not have to be high heat, I don't think. A lot of people use gray, and I don't think that's high heat. But first, before we do that, let's just get this all cleaned up. All right, guys, so I actually ran into quite the roadblock and had to restart on, or not restart, but take the transmission back apart. So I think you guys saw I just had all the sealant on and everything, and I was going down. But the case was not going down all the way on here. So I spent literally a couple days now trying to figure out why it was not going down all the way. I went piece by piece and I finally figured it out. So this, where it shifts here, where this shift fork goes in, this was jammed up onto this, and this bearing was lifted up like that much, and it wouldn't let the case go all the way down. At first, I thought it was the snap ring that goes around this one. It was not. Side note, that snap ring should be spread apart to go around this bearing groove. So anyway, we're back to where we were. I'm gonna go ahead and put my RTV on here, seal it up, and be done with it. I'm not gonna show you guys that process because I think I already did and it'll be boring. So I'll put that back on, and then we got to put all of our, it's a freaking mess right now because I was going crazy trying to figure this issue out, but we got to put our little detents back in and everything else. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead, get the RTV on and seal it back up. Okay guys, so we got it all back together. This snap ring needs to go down in the groove of that bearing. Mine did not go in right away. I took my rubber mallet and beat the crap out of the top of it to really get it down seated, and that went in there. I've seen people turn these over and just kind of lightly drop them on the bench just to really slam that down. That's all you got to do. For this plug, I don't know if I'm supposed to, but I am going to put a little gasket maker on that just to really make sure it does not leak. Well, after having this transmission in and out like 3 or 4 times, I guess I'm becoming a professional on it going in because it lifted right in. That's taken me hours to do before. I'm sure I'm jinxing myself, so the next one I'll be screwed, but Perfect. You guys remember how I said that went in way too easy? Check this out. I forgot to record it, but we got the transmission out, throwout bearing in, fork in, and it back on the engine just as easy as the first time. So I'm gonna go buy a lottery ticket. All right, guys, so we're at the point, I skipped a lot of the nitty gritty, like plugging stuff in and putting little bolts in. We're at the point where we're doing axles. And I don't know if you remember, I said I was gonna rebuild my old axles or just buy new ones. Well, I went ahead and just bought new ones off of Amazon. I think it was Amazon. I will link them down below. They're a little different, but I think they'll fit. They've just got some stuff on there for extra components. To be honest with you, I don't know what it's for. I probably should know, but I don't. But anyway, they are a DTA, new constant velocity axles. So let's go ahead and throw those in. All right, guys, I think, let me turn this off so I don't get copyright. I think that's gonna be it for this video. I'm tired, it's getting late. We got the transmission back in a couple of times, but all we have left to do is put the downpipe back on and the intercooler piping back on in the bumper. The bumper I just bought a front lip for, so so I think I'm just gonna make that a whole separate video. The front lip, buttoning everything else up. But the main point of this video was obviously that transmission rebuild. Well, not really a whole rebuild, but the bearings. And we did it successfully. Well, I think. We'll see how it drives. But yeah, so I'm super excited that we did that. That was honestly one of the biggest things on my list for this build, this stage one or sequence one of the build. So anyway, that's it. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Like I said, I fought with that one bearing for days getting the case to close all the way up. If you have any issues with that, just let me know. My I think they call it the synchros. It was like binded up somehow. I don't know how that happened. I had to hammer it apart lightly. But anyway, if you have any questions, ask me. These transmissions are actually very simple. This is the first transmission I've ever even been inside or even thought about being inside. So if I can do it, I think you can too. But anyway, enough talking. I think this is going to be a long enough video as is. Thank you guys so much for watching, and tune in for more videos to come. And if you want to see me boost the Civic or anything else, go look at my previous videos. I will catch you guys in the next one.